Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you? Good morning, good morning. Good to see you. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Good morning, John. Glad you're here. You're doing well. Hope this day is treating you well. Jamie, good morning. I look great. I'll take that. Dun, dun, dun. Good morning, Donna. Glad you're here. Michelle, good morning to you. How are you? How are you? Well, I did get to I did get to chitty chat with your sister for a little bit, so that was nice, Michelle. It's good to talk to her. Um, Never gets old. It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't get old. Yeah. So if you're wondering, that Jamie and I have known each other for a very long time, and actually all the way to math, back to math class. And I was not a great math class guy. Like that, it was not math class was not really my jam. And so I would, kind of do the things I needed to do to get through math class. So I would kind of do a little. I'd enter the room with some sort of joie de vivre, joie de guerre, joie de something, and so every once in a while I'd come in and dun 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 as I entered the room, just because it was going to be a bad hour ahead of me. So I figured, better to kind of prep the battleground in some sort of way that but anyway, yeah, so apparently it made an impression. So good morning, everybody. Glad you're here. Hey, Bonnie Braga. Great to see you. Boy, I bet it's beautiful out there today. The sun was shining this morning. I had the gave Poco a walk this morning, and he was just. We ended up never even getting getting out of the driveway. We just played catch with the ball the whole time because it was just so nice, um, it was a lot. It was beautiful. So these are great days. This little late fall kind of feeling. So I hope that you're finding some joy in it as well. And there's something about the fact that when the light is diminished, when we only have about 20 minutes of daylight, it feels like it's all the more beautiful. And something about the sun being low on the horizon. There's a beauty and a richness to it. So anyway, I hope you're able to enjoy some of that. I bet that spot you have over there, Bonnie, is really pretty today. So I hope that's true. Um, Great. So good to see everybody. Math gives me headaches. I hear you. Yeah, I know this whole math thing with him. What's up? Yeah, yeah. No, so that's so not true. Like, Sunny and 40 here. Yeah, that's it must be one of those things that skips a generation. Uh, so do my chickens. Oh my God, the chickens. Sunny and 40 here. Beautiful, just beautiful. Made it. Hey, there he is. Speak of the devil, and he appears. All right. Good morning, everybody. It is this beautiful Thursday morning, December the 3rd at 11:11. So I'm so glad that each one of you are here and we're journeying together. It's been a good morning. We're over in our gymnasium over here. We have some volunteers from the United Way and from our church that are sorting through coats that are going to go to people who need a coat in this season. So we are. It's a wonderful gift to be able to kind of bear witness and encourage the what I call the hands of Jesus doing its work in the world, just the hands of love out there. Um, that are making things happen. So it's a great part to be a part of that. So I want to take us a little bit into the Wayback Machine this morning, and just when we started this whole thing, I gave you a couple of back in March, I gave you a couple of ideas about how to get through the day, and I want to revisit them, but in a way that we come back to, and I invited you to do two things in those early days of kind of the world turning itself upside down, and I think they're still just as valid and just as important. The first is I invited you to a discipline of gratitude. Find something to be grateful for every day. Find something to be grateful for. And if you really want to dig that a little deeper, which I didn't talk about back then, but I will now, is that tell yourself why. Why is that important? We talked about a little bit about that on Thanksgiving. But find something to be grateful for every day. And the second is find somebody to help out every day. Find somebody to connect with, make a phone call, check on somebody, do some small act of kindness. It is my belief that these two little acts, as just these two little disciplines, I mean, these are disciplines of faith, long before they were ever like coping mechanisms or good ideas or the kind of the social workers got their hands on them. Not that there's anything wrong with social workers. We love you all. That it just that that before they got secularized. I mean, these were considered. They're in the books of discipline. These are religious disciplines that we might find a gratitude every day, and that we might reach out and help someone each day. So I invite you to that. And I want to kind of circle back on that, but in a little bit different way, because I feel like here we are, however many months later, these nearly 9 months later now, coming up on 9 months, and we're called to not a different place, but a different stride, maybe a different way of moving our way through this. And I wanted to start us with Paul's letter to the Corinthians. He wrote this. He says, "When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I set aside childish things. Now we see but a dim reflection as in a mirror, and then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known." That's so good. I see in part, and I shall be fully known. That we come this morning to understand that we see through a glass dimly. And I want to offer you a story about that, because I think it's we think about like, well, we just we think like, oh well, it's this kind of like we just don't maybe we don't frame things the right way, maybe we don't. I'm not being all Illuminati on you. I'm just like maybe we don't understand things. Maybe we've left things out of the frame, or we put things in that don't belong. Maybe it's not that, or maybe we just can't see all the things that are happening, and all that's true, like all that's fine, but I actually think that this notion of being and seeing through a glass dimly is part of the understanding of what it means to be a part of these practices of faith, or to be a part of the journey, or to simply be a part of community. As much as I look at each one of your little faces over here, as much as I would love to just look at you face to face, as much as we're much as I'd love to break bread and have a cup of coffee, or and all of those things, that I still would only see the external of you. It's still, there'd be a whole mystery of stuff that goes on inside here and inside here, like really. And if you've and you know this, like if you've been in a relationship with another human being for any length of time, you understand like, what the heck is that person thinking? Like, it's not it doesn't take long to get there. But I want to say that we are in many ways these dim little mirrors, these dim little reflections. And I want to offer you a story about that because that touched me. So, and it comes from this guy by the name of Alexander Papandreou. So, Papandreou lived through the Second World War on Crete. He was a Greek. Now, the Greeks were invaded particularly on Crete. The Crete was invaded by the German Fallschirmjägers, the German paratroopers, and the German paratroopers were notoriously known for being the roughest and toughest of paratroopers really on the planet. And don't tell the 82nd Airborne that, but it's true. The training, the rights, the stuff, and Crete is to this day still in 1941 one of the largest airborne operations ever conducted on the planet. It is only shadowed by one or two other ones. It was a massive number of even the term for paratroopers is Fallschirmjäger in German. It means hunter falling from the sky. Like, how terrifying is that? I mean, that's literally what the term means. And the German Fallschirmjägers, I mean, they were tough and they were mean, and they came to conquer Crete because Crete was strategic in the battle in the Mediterranean. And Crete was incredibly poor and had very little ability to resist this incredible onslaught. And yet, the Cretians and the Greeks, being who they are, many of the battles took place with knives and hay scythes, and they would charge into the machine guns of the Fallschirmjägers. The amount of cruelty and brutality was only equaled in the East. That in the West, the battle for Crete was brutal on a level that, there was this particular place where Papandreou grew up. He grew up in this moment of right by the airfield, and there was a particularly hard battle that he, as a small boy, bore witness to. And as the war ended, and as he began to decide what it is he would do with his life, he established, overlooking that airstrip, an Institute for Peace and Understanding. Papandreou, he lived throughout that war, and what he was convinced that the scars and the legacies of the brutality of that time had to be let go of, not just by the Germans, but had to be let go of by his people as well, for them to be able to step into goodness. That the horrors and the hatreds of the war had to be set go of. And so he was giving a lecture, and somebody out of the blue asked him, "What is the meaning of your life? Well, what is the meaning of life?" And the whole crowd actually laughed, because such a big question, this Institute for Peace on this hallowed battleground where mothers had fought it out with warriors with kitchen knives. He asked that question and people laughed, but he had a direct response. He stopped and he opened his wallet, and inside of his wallet he took out a small round piece of mirror, and he held it up for everybody to see. And he was told, he said, as a small boy, and I was on a very poor family, and he came across a motorcycle wreck, and it had been a motorcycle wreck of German soldiers that were lying there, and he saw. He's a small boy, in the way that that children see the magic of the world. He saw the mirror of the motorcycle was broken, and so he was trying to put the pieces of the mirror back together, but he couldn't get them to go back together. And so he took the largest piece that he could find, and he scratched it against the stone until the edges were smoothed and round. And he used it kind of as a toy and as a fascination throughout his life. And that it was one of the things that he carried. And he could, because he could take it, and what he realized, he could take that small piece of mirror and he could shine light into these little cracks and crevices in his house and in other places. And he would carry that with him for nearly his entire life. He kept that mirror with him as he grew up, and over time it came to symbolize something much more important. It became a metaphor for his whole life. He says, I am a fragment of a mirror. These are his words, so I want to get them right. I am a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape I do not know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the dark places of this world, into the black places in the hearts of men, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others may see and do likewise. This is what I am about. This is the meaning of my life. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I set aside childish things. Now we see but a dim reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. Friends, these little disciplines that we've talked about over these times, these little mirrors are just practices and ways. These little Thanksgivings or these little reaching out are simply gross and base ways for us to dimly shine the broken mirror that we are in this world. To let the light bounce off of us, to let the light shine through us. And in it, let the dark places of humanity, let the dark places of this world, let the dark places of even our souls become illuminated by the light that shines upon us from Christ Jesus. That, friends, was Papandreou's task. That, friends, is ours task. That, friends, is what this time of darkness and uncertainty continues to call us to. And it is time for us to put away the childish things of our lives and to be about the task of being our imperfect and our broken mirror that shines light in this world. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today. We're going to we'll pick it up next week with 11:11. I want us to talk a little bit about Advent because we're in this Advent season, and so maybe we'll talk about that next week. We have worship on Sunday at 10 o'clock right here on Facebook Live, and as well as right here in person, 282 Rock Street. So I hope you have a grace and peace-filled day, that someone may shine their broken mirror into your dark places, and that you might have the chance to find the very purpose of your days by shining light into theirs. Peace and grace, my friends.